Well, it's important to me personally because we lost the great, my good friend Peter to this disease. So, you know, I try to do as many charities as I can. This one's close to my heart because of him, and Lorraine Boyle, you know, works very hard putting this together, and they're doing great work, and they're very close to finding a cure. And, you know, I do my silly little jokes, and it helps out. Peter took me under his wing. You know, I was a nobody, and he was this iconic movie actor. And the first year, we both left our families in New York because we didn't know if the show would get picked up. And coincidentally, we rented an apartment in the same complex. Yes. So I would hang out with Peter Boyle. Here I was, a guy, a nobody doing stand-up, and the next year I'm hanging out with Peter Boyle, and it was really awesome because I don't know if you knew him, but he was like the exact opposite of the character on the show. He was just this great guy who could talk about anything to anybody. Very smartest guy I've ever met. He would dumb it down for me, you know, whenever we would hang out. But just this great friend. And Doris was, of course, you know, the mother to all of us who worked harder than any of us. I'm a TV orphan now. That's what I am. But it's good to come and remember them and honor them in this way, you know. I'm sure there'll be some political humor, you know. I wish I did political. Kind of, you know, I've always been happy that I was never a political comedian, except for right now, because it's like I'm a Mormon that was dropped in Vegas, and there's so much there, and I can't do anything. But I'm sure you'll get a lot of that.
Well, I just loved Peter, and I never expected to become a friend of his. You know, I grew up admiring him as an actor, and then we were on Politically Incorrect together. And my wife hit it off with Lorraine, and I hit it off with Peter. And it was just like I say, I mean, he was so different from the kind of cantankerous, you know, conservative people he played. It's a movie called Joe, which is sort of a forerunner of the Archie Bunker character. Bigoted and just really an old curmudgeon. And Peter was just so open-minded and had a very youthful attitude about life. And like I say, it was just an unusual set of circumstances that made us become friends, and I'm lucky to have called him a friend.
That's so great.
You know, all my three kids, I said, you have to vote. They said, well, it doesn't matter, it's California, it's a Democratic state. I said, if you don't vote, you're out of the will. So that should motivate them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is, we were like related. We were like cut from the same cloth. We're both Irish Catholic kids I was from New York, he's from Philadelphia, and he went to the seminary actually. And I admired him when I was a young actor in New York, and then I got to work with him. And the best thing in the world when you work with somebody you admire and you find out they're an even more wonderful person. And we just crawled around Chicago like two 12-year-olds, laughing constantly. And it was just a kind of a shared view of we had of the world and of what made us laugh and think, and we just continued on through lunches when we got back to New York, and so he was special. No, my daughter did. She just voted. She stood 7 hours in line today to vote. I'll vote on the day because she's got to go back to New York tomorrow. So 7 hours in the sun. I can't believe she's still upright.
Me either. Oh, you're excited. Why you're here and why you're so excited?
We are here to become obsolete. We would like to meet back here next year and have somebody say, we licked myeloma. There is no more. Everybody go home. That's what we're working for. And we got assembled a bunch of very rude comedians, and then we're going to come on and be very dignified. When they go low, we'll go high. But by then,
We'll sing high.
Yes, we'll sing high and low.
And we love Lorraine Boyle. She's been a friend of ours for a while, and she's being honored tonight as well for her contributions. And it's just an amazing event to be part of.
You know, Peter was a guy I knew for a long time. He was one of those guys I met in the early 70s, right after Joe came out, and I was like, man, I got to meet this guy. Hollywood is great, you know? And I knew a lot of people like Howard Hesseman, for example, were friends. They were friends, and And so I'd run into him, and I thought he was great. And then we did a movie together in South Carolina, and we hung out a little bit. And he was an amazing guy. And so anything that's done in his name will be done for the betterment of mankind, because he was a mensch. He was a good, lovely guy. I have, because I wasn't sure where I was going to be. I've been going back and forth to Albuquerque. So
I'm voting on the day because I want to. There's something about doing it on the day. It just seems even more official. And I worry sometimes about like a mail-in ballot. I think, what if my mailman? Then I put my mail out. What if he doesn't like who I like, and he decides to lose my
who you
my
like
vote?
on
No,
the
but
back
he
of
knows
your
from our house. He knows. But so I'm going on the 8th with my daughter. We're going marching in because it's nearby. It's near our home. And
I think women should get the vote. I really do.
Thank you.
And this might put it over the top.
Wow, so current with his thinking.
I'm supportive, though.
This is great. I never got a chance to meet him, but I'm a fan of what we do as actors, as comedians, and this is just giving back. You know what I mean, for a worthy cause, and that's what it's really all about. A lot of folks think that comedians we talk a lot. Of course we do, but we got to listen very intently to what the world needs, and we have to really focus that. And humor is the cure for everything. It's the bottom level of what cures everything eventually. Being in a good place, stress-free, and gathering that laughter, that outpouring of love, and that's what we do. That's why we're here tonight.
I think it's our most successful year yet. We have a wonderful group of comedians. Luckily, Ray Romano is here this year. Last year he didn't make it because he had a TV show. So it's just great that he's back for the 10th anniversary. So we're thrilled.
And tell me,
I feel honored that I've been able to help raise money in Peter's name to find a cure for myeloma, because when Peter was diagnosed, it still is incurable, but it's treatable. But now people are living longer, and hopefully we'll be able to find a cure in the next few years.
and this is raised a here tonight.
Well, this is the 10th anniversary of this event, and it's really exciting because over the years we've raised over $6 million to support myeloma research, which is incredible. And I'll let Dr. Dury tell you some really exciting news about what this event meant to us and what it's allowed us to do. So, Brian.
Yeah, so it's allowed us to fund the basic research that was necessary to start clinical trials, treatment protocols, which are starting to cure patients with myeloma. We have this protocol where you have to start very early, but with new combinations of drugs, and have careful testing, and you can really move forward to start to cure this horrible disease. So it's tremendously exciting for us.
We are a global organization, and Dr. Dury is responsible for that. He brought the entire myeloma global community together, which with doctors is really hard to do. So, Brian, you might want to mention something about that.
Yes, well, I just want to say, it does stem from Lorraine. Peter Boyle did have this horrible cancer some years back, and it was that energy that was enough to bring people to say, okay, we got to get rid of this darn disease, and it's coming from that place that you get the motivation to work hard and really make something happen.
But anyway, so Peter was always this guy who was so into, what was going on in the world, and the smartest guy. Him and Patty Heaton would have conversations about art, history, politics, and I would just wait, because then Peter would dumb it down for me. He would dumb it down. He'd talk about sports and Hooters and whatever. Yeah. And then we would bond. But I remember 8 years ago on this stage, because this event is always in November, right around now, and I remember 8 years ago saying, when we were electing our first black president, and I said, this is when I would think, and I would just look up and say, Peter, I wish you were here for this, because he would just love, it would just be so great for him. Yes. And now I just want to say, since it is the November, I just want to say to Peter, stay where you are. You're safe. You're safe. We may be coming to you soon.
I went to games 3, 4, and 5. I got to make a speech on the field, game 4, the Saturday, because game 3 was weird. Because Wrigley Field, we were quiet, no one knew how to act, so I had to tell them, let it loose tonight, because tonight we're gonna win. We didn't, but they behaved normally. And then Sunday night it worked out perfect. And I was never nervous the whole time, although game 7 was physically a mess.
It's just going to be brutal. 2 horrific candidates. Yeah, there's just no winning this one. I got to tell you, Trump scares me less, though. He really does, because he's just such obviously a dope. You know what I mean? He's just so knees and elbows, that orange wig. It's just like I can't take him seriously. If all of your emails were made public, would anybody here have a job on Monday? You wouldn't.
I just, I want to live a fuller life. I'm tired of playing it safe. I want to take more chances in life, more risks. Not crazy risks. I'm not going to skydive or take a Carnival cruise, you know what I mean? I'm just talking about, risks. Just, like trying new restaurants, things like that. Did you read about this guy last year, skydiver? He broke the record. He went up to the Earth's atmosphere, 24 miles up, and then he free fell for almost 24 miles before he pulled his cord. This guy was going fast, too. He broke the sound barrier. He was going faster than the speed of sound. And it's a good thing his chute opened up. Otherwise, that would have been a big mess to clean up.
Ray Romano, a very funny man. And he's one of the men who inspired me to do what I'm going to do tonight, because I would never dare to impersonate the singing of Elvis Presley, because as we know, he was one of the greatest showmen of all times. But as we all know, he had a great sense of humor. He would bring laughter to his friends, his family, his associates, his employees. And as we all know, one of the hardest groups to make laugh is your employees. So at this time, I'd like to pay tribute to what I imagine Elvis Presley would have been like if he had, in addition to music, if he had chosen to go into comedy, in a short piece I call Stand Up Elvis. Recently I've been having trouble with the boys. The boys have been telling me I've been eating too much. I was drinking too much. I've been taking too many drugs. I knew I had to do something, so I fired the boys.
It's a very happy night. It's a very happy night for Peter Boyle, too. He can look down and know that you're helping him move forward, and everyone with myeloma. And you know something, makes me feel so good, I would like to give you a gift. I would like to give you a gift that you may take home with you and use for many years. Working out is a waste of time. Thank you, good night.
There's nothing etched in stone. The future's taken care of, so we leave the past alone. So when you're where you're going, close your eyes and I'll be there, saying, here I am, my darling, I'll be with you everywhere. The tear that lingers on the lash doesn't always speak of sorrow, as far away as yesterday, closer than tomorrow, as far away as yesterday, and closer than tomorrow, closer than tomorrow, closer than tomorrow.
Thank you all. Have a great night.